Hello, Year Threes. Today we're going to finish reading chapter 21 of The Train to Impossible Places. It sounds like chaos, she said. That's not the point, he said. Each impossible place makes its own rules. No one's supposed to be in charge of the whole thing. They slipped past the blockade of statues into the main boulevard. Susie looked around carefully, trying to remember exactly which side street she and Wilmot had emerged from on their way to the post office earlier. Where are we going? He said. Back to the train. We need to get out of town. But how are we going to get it to move if everything's frozen? I don't know yet, she said, feeling the threat of tears prickling behind her eyes again. I don't know anything, but we can't stay here. She paused at the entrance to one of the streets. It looked like it could be the right one, but the same was true of the last two they'd passed. And as if that wasn't bad enough, there was at least one statue standing guard in every single one of them. Even though they were immobile, Susie didn't quite have the courage to look at their pitted, twisted faces. She put her head down and ran on. Is this Crepuscular's plan, she said, invade the Union with statues? No, this is just to recapture me, said Frederick. Her real plan would be much worse. Imagine if she always knew what you were doing and could find you no matter what you did. She wouldn't even need her statues anymore. If you did something that she didn't like, she could just send out a curse, like the one she used against me. No one would ever dare disobey her. But how? Said Susie, horrified. How could she possibly know what everyone's doing? It's complicated, he said. Just trust me. We don't want it to happen. The thought spurred Susie on. She felt exposed and vulnerable out in a city like this. She wanted the warmth of the express. Let's try down here, she said, trusting to luck and leading them into a side street. Even if it wasn't the one she had taken earlier, it shouldn't take them too far away from the freight yard. As she wove through the crowd, her mind raced. I can move things, she said, like the glass shard and the wand. If I try hard enough, I can unstick things. Do you think you can unstick the train? I don't know. The glass was easy. The wand was harder. Maybe it's something to do with size. In which case the train will be impossible, he said. You probably won't even be able to unfreeze the crew. Yes, thanks for that. A minute later they reached a small junction, and at last she saw a shop front that she recognized. It's that way, she exclaimed, setting off in a new direction with a greater sense of purpose. They passed two more statues in the next street, which she did her best to ignore. Do you think that's why I'm not frozen? Asked Frederick, because you were holding me when all of this started. Maybe, she said, if I can unfreeze other things by touching them, I suppose it makes sense. Frederick ruminated on this for a moment. Then don't let go of me, he said. I won't, she said, I promise. They took two wrong turns and a convoluted detour before they finally arrived back in the freight yard. Susie's elation at seeing it was quickly tempered by the sight of another statue standing guard at the near end of the platform. Its sword was drawn, and it seemed to have been scanning the faces of the fleeing crowd when it was frozen. Her hand stayed instinctively to Fletcher's wand, although she wasn't sure how she could use it to defend herself should she need to. She still had no idea how magic worked or what it could do. Had the wand malfunctioned when it hit the jar? She stopped in her tracks as her imagination spat out a big, fat, tantalizing idea. What about it? There was time inside it, but it was my time. What do you mean? Crepuscular said that she had taken the time from the end of my life. It was time that only I was supposed to have. So what if I'm having that time now? Instead of putting it back where it came from, breaking the jar gave it back to me here and now. But it's only mine, so the rest of the world doesn't get to live it with me. You mean you're getting half an hour of life back while the rest of the world is on pause, said Frederick. Yes, I think. I mean, maybe. She shook her head to clear it. Does that make any sense? I've no idea, he said. I'm not a temporal physicist. I suppose we'll find out when the 30 minutes are up. A shock ran through her. Oh no, how long have we got left? I don't know, they don't make watches in my size. But we can't have long. She redoubled her grip on Frederick and broke into a run, forcing her way through the frozen trolls blocking the platform between her and the express. Maybe only minutes. In fact, it was less, as she discovered when the world suddenly snapped back into motion around her, and a troll worker fleeing the invader in the freight yard crashed into her, sending her flying. She just had the presence of mind to land on her back, clutching Frederick's globe at her chest as she landed. "Watch it!" the troll barked, as he leapt over her and ran on. Panic surrounded Susie on all sides as the trolls stampeded up the platform, threatening to crush her underfoot. She struggled upright, only to lock eyes with the statue in the yard. For an awful second the troll's panic infected her, and she found that she couldn't move, even as the statue turned and lumbered towards her. Only Frederick brought her back to her senses. "Run!" he screamed. And Year 3's we're going to stop on that cliffhanger. I will see you back here tomorrow for chapter 22. Bye.